Today, I'm going to be talking about riding the waves through disruptive transition. And this video was inspired by a recent conversation I had with a friend and a colleague who has just received a health diagnosis, a health crisis, if you will. She's still navigating to figure out what it is exactly. And she's doing this while still balancing her career on the one hand, which has been extremely busy, and her family on the other. And so naturally, she's going through a lot of overwhelming stress right now. And I could relate firsthand to what she's going through. Disruption is something that happens to all of us at different periods. And for myself, I think of it as sometimes a whisper of a crisis. Like I actually broke my jaw body surfing in Mexico. And I was thankful that I, lived to tell the tale and got up and left the water. But it was 6 weeks of, um, you know, the doctor telling me I couldn't eat, laugh, or talk. And these are things I do pretty regularly every day. And so for me, it was a huge sacrifice. And yet that was nothing compared to 5 years later when I got a cancer diagnosis that was malignant and actually did threaten my life if I didn't do something about it. And so, we all grapple with different things at different times, whether it's ourselves or a loved one, a colleague, and they really shake us. They shake us to our core. Bruce Feiler just wrote this book called Life is in the Transitions. And he's done a lot of research across many age groups around this concept of transition. And what he found is that, this is, we think of it as this thing that's not supposed to happen. And that certainly was my perspective, but it's just part of life. And it happens very frequently. Over 3 dozen transitions will happen in our lives. And 1 in 10 of them are going to be massive. Lives we have that we love, or that we want to love even more. And there's so much that we can get in terms of very deep mindfulness practitioner. And he said, I want to make sure I say it right, you can't stop the waves, but you can learn how to surf. And I love that metaphor because there are so many waves in our lives, and they're stronger than we are. They're huge forces, right? So we all actually did try to surf. It is not easy to do, to balance. And oftentimes, especially when these transitions are things like an accident or a health crisis, they're outside of our control, right? We're like on a surfboard that we didn't ask to be on, navigating these really crazy waves. And so it's pretty tough. And if a big wave is coming at you and you're fearing for your safety, for your life in some cases, huge fear comes then, right? We're hijacked and we're feeling overwhelming fear. And for me, when the doctor said to me, you have cancer and it's malignant, I wanted to curl up in a ball. I wanted to run and hide. I wanted to not have to think about anything. And in fact, I couldn't think. I was frozen, um, and that's what we want to do. But when I was being pushed down by a wave, my body knew right away that I had to act, because if I didn't do something, I wasn't going. It was going to keep coming. I was going to drown. So our bodies know we need to do something, but our minds get frozen, and that's just what happens, right? When we hear really terrible news, and so that's the first thing we need to deal with is we that's going to happen, and then we can't think straight for a while, so we need to kind of gather our wits, and then beyond that, we need to manage this. What does this mean for my family, for my livelihood? A spiral out of control. And our minds often feel like they're helping us by trying to figure out the worst case scenario, and that might paralyze us even further. And we're confused. How are we going to add something massive on top of everything else that we have going on when there's not enough time in the day as it is? So all this is going on around these massive transitions. And And we need to we need to learn to surf them better. So how do we do this? So let's start with the ABCs. I've really enjoyed being able to frame everything that way. And I have two A's today. And the first A is acceptance. We need to accept that this is happening. Whether we want it to or not, it is happening. We've been diagnosed with cancer. We have a broken jaw. We've lost a job. Whatever it is, it's massive, it's huge. We need to accept that that is what's going on. And next, we need to act. And again, back to that wave example, when it was pushing me down, I knew that I could not fight it. I needed to save my strength to get up and out. And I knew intuitively I needed to act. And sometimes we just get so caught up in so much details that need to happen, managing our families, managing work, managing a new game plan. It can be very hard to realize how powerful action can be, even if we don't know exactly where it's going to lead. In improvise in class, I went through the players workshop of the Second City many years ago. The only thing you can do really to improvise badly is to say no, to not accept what somebody's giving you in a scene. And so the antidote to that is yes and. Yes and. We may not love it, we may not agree with it, but yes, it's here. And what are we going to do next? What are we going to do next? And any action is helpful. Talking to people, getting references, doing research, putting together a game plan, even if it's tiny. You're basically dealing with a huge disruption that's knocked the wind out of you and left you feeling on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being absolutely no control and 10 being I'm on top of the world. You're ground zero. You feel like you have no control at all. And so as you act, as you created a plan, as you take any steps towards getting more educated and more thoughtful about what you're going to do, you are moving up that control spectrum. And that's going to give you a sense of peace and ease and confidence to move forward even further. Action builds momentum and it keeps building further. And again, you don't have to know exactly what the right answer is at the start. You just have to take action. So accept and act. A's are so critical to start there. Now, the next thing is B for belief. And belief is really about realizing that many of our beliefs need to change around asking for help. I personally felt like I could do things on my own and I didn't ask for help very often. And we can reframe that as actually realizing that asking for help and receiving help with gratitude is an act of generosity. We're letting people help us and they feel good in doing that. Example, when I was going through my cancer diagnosis, I asked for help with my team. I stepped out of certain projects and I had direct reports who rose to the challenge and they felt empowered and better because of it. My daughter was able to comfort me in times of strife at home on the personal side in a way that I didn't even know she had the capability to do. And she felt valued in a way she hadn't before. So these are critical things, believing that receiving is good. And the last thing is the C for compassion. Compassion is critical, and I was so terrible at it. But it's so important that you realize kindness and tenderness and give yourself a break. Let go of things that don't matter as much. Let them go. And really open yourself up to receiving compassion from others and giving it to yourself. So that you can focus on what really matters, and that's you, and figuring out how you're going to rejuggle and delegate and let others help so that you can get through this crisis and thrive to the other side. Thank you. That's all I have to say for today.